Hey.
Where's your intro?
Oh, there it is.
We messed up!
No. Anyway, hi to everyone. Let us know if you can see and hear us properly. It seems like it's coming fine from us here, the audio and video. Hi to the regulars. Peg, Luke, Armored Ghost. Thanks for joining us. And today we're talking about this. Does self-help actually help?
I can say the answer in just a few words.
And then we'll end it. It'll be like a 5-minute stream. Go.
It can if you actually do it.
That's pretty.
That's the
That's
answer.
pretty accurate, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Karu.
Yeah. I think the problem isn't self-help. It's that people don't do it and follow through and aren't consistent with it. I think that's whenever it doesn't work, that's what's going on probably.
This is for Armored Ghost. Look, I think it's with most things. I've found that even with writing and projects you're working on, when you just talk about it, you kind of release something, and you feel like you've actually done it. You're involved in it by talking about it, and I think it's the same with self-help. You read something, it inspires you, and you feel like you've taken the first few steps. It feels new and motivating, and you're looking forward to things, and it feels like you're on that journey towards the thing, but you're not. You just talked about it. You're just, Monday I'm going to start the diet. Monday I'm going to go to the gym. And it's like, yeah, I've begun. No, you haven't. You haven't actually begun.
I think people get addicted to that feeling, to being inspired. Because me as well, like so many times I've bought books and then I read them and I feel really good while I read them and I'm all excited. And then you leave it and you move on with your life.
We should actually take a video of like all the books on our shelves. I'll just keep going along.
Yeah, we have so many self-help books. That also many that we haven't read yet.
I'm not that big on self-help, but I like them as in most of my self-help has been books, novels, like insights, ways of thinking, a character. Later in my life, there's certain, if you would call them self-help, that is very practical and I could see the application in everyday life, rather than the type of self-help that does nothing for me and makes me roll my eyes is when it's all about feelings and believing in the universe and energy and alignments and all that kind of stuff. That just, I don't really have much patience for it. I just think it's words to make you feel good.
I think a lot of self-help books are just common sense. So you have to kind of weed out the bad from the good, because there are good ones, obviously. But there are a lot of self-help books where I think, oh yeah, I could have written that, like when it's just about common sense.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the common sense ones, and I do this as well, you flick through a book that catches your eye, the title or the subject, and it says something you already know, but the reminder makes you feel good and reminds you of what you have to do. And so in a sense, sometimes self-help books are reminders of what you already know, which is good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we forget and we just veer off course and we get lazy and we just get led on to whatever we feel like doing. And a lot of them are just reminders. They don't have to be, it rocked my world. It was a massive insight. I think 9 out of 10 of them are just reminders of what you know and what you should do.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think does self-help work is even a question, because I think it works, but that's not the problem. The problem is people not following through and actually doing it. I think that's the issue that people should talk about. Because all the books, even the common sense ones, they could help someone, like because of what you just said. Someone might read it in a specific phase in their life where they need to hear that, and then it helps them in some way. So I feel like all those books can help, but the problem is you actually being open to it and actually doing it and then following through with it, and then it can help. So I think it's the people, it's not the books.
Yeah, that's true. That's the struggle with everyone. Everyone's got great ideas, and the internet is full of people with great ideas. the big problem I've had for a long time, even with my other channel, is guys talk about dating a lot and what is right and what is wrong and what is fair and what is unfair. But very few want to go out there and try and do what's better, try and fix their problems, try and actually do the thing. It's very easy to avoid and do nothing and just keep thinking and come up with perfect theories and utopian worlds. And like, it would be good if things were like this. It would be good if you could eat as much as you can and you didn't gain any weight. It would be good if my novel would write itself. Or, you know, it's...
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is also comfort. Like, I think that's a big reason why people don't follow through on things. Because they're used to things, or because of they don't want to get out of their comfort zone and stuff. And then they just end up wasting time, which is what I have experience with as well. You know, and that's really scary. Like, you waste so much time. Like, you've got this goal, and then you just keep not achieving it, and you just waste so much time. And it's like, sometimes we need to remember that we only have one life. You know, so if you really want something, like, make a plan and fucking do it. Instead of like wasting years, like I'm also talking to myself now.
They used to be tough love. Karu said something that was good. He said, self-help doesn't exist. You're either an inaction cell or you're not. It used to be called getting off your ass and doing stuff. All self-help advice is do stuff and forgive yourself. We've talked about this a lot. It's not so much we really don't have any respect for, we kind of really are annoyed by the whole forgive yourself, you're beautiful no matter what, you've achieved everything even if you haven't done anything, you're a perfect person, you're wonderful, you're a goddess. Like, we really don't like that stuff. And a lot of the self-help just tells you you're wonderful and you haven't done anything.
I don't think that's true.
So
I don't really get his comment. Like, self-help obviously exists because self-help books are self-help. That it's where people can read the books and they can take things from the book that they can implement in their lives to help them. So that's self-help. And the forgive yourself part, that may be included in some of the books, but that's not necessarily bad, I don't think.
Yeah, but he's saying that basically what we're saying, that self-help doesn't really mean anything unless you do it.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
So that's kind of what he's saying. Like, so self-help, just the industry, the books, the talking, the reading, the ideas, the motivation, all that, it's great, but it's bullshit because it actually doesn't lead to anything.
If you don't do it, it doesn't lead to anything.
Yeah, but if you don't do it, it's largely bullshit. It doesn't matter what your intent is. It doesn't matter what you hope for, what you dream about. It just matters.
I wouldn't say it's bullshit. It's just material that you're not implementing in your life.
Well, it's the essential part. Because it spills over into a lot of other stuff. Because if you don't do it, you lower your self-esteem, you feel like a failure, you demoralize yourself, a lot of things like that. So I get what he's saying. You either do it or you don't. I think self-help can clarify your position or wake you up or remind you. But if you're the kind of person that does everything to procrastinate and not do anything, not act, then self-help is largely bullshit. It's kind of like without the action, it's bullshit. It's nice, but if you don't do anything in it, it's kind of real. It's not so much bullshit, it's kind of fake.
Yeah, I don't agree with any of this, to be honest.
Go.
Because you're merging the two. Self-help is basically books out there that you can use to help yourself. If you choose not to do that, then that's just what you're choosing. You can call it bullshit then. It's not bullshit, you're just not doing it.
Okay.
Like, I don't know why he's merging
Technically, you are correct. You're correct. Isn't that, like, without the books, some people who, for instance, someone before self-help, on their own, they came up with thoughts and they put it into action and they discovered some ideas that help other people and they put it into books. If other people don't connect the thread between idea and action, it's their own fault. So I get you. Self-help books aren't bullshit. The bullshit is the people that don't do anything with them.
Yeah, and I don't even know why that needs to be called bullshit. It's just, self-help is just a term for like those types of books and everything. And if you're not doing it, then you're just not doing it.
Karu, I get what he's saying in the first sentence. Self-help doesn't exist, where it's it largely doesn't matter unless you do help yourself. You don't just think and read and get inspired, but you actually do the stuff. And
Yeah, that's true. Like, if you don't do this stuff, then it doesn't matter how many books you read, but that doesn't negate the fact that self-help exists. Like,
Yeah.
those books are still out there.
But you get tired of it as well. You've gotten tired as well. Like, I remember sometimes in bookstores where when we first started talking, you were more open to self-help books, and we talked about various books that inspired us and helped us, right? Like one of the books that everyone knows about that you're going to sort of show later. But now, when we go into bookstores and we look at self-help books, we just roll our eyes and we don't even look at them because it's kind of, you get tired of it.
Yeah, I read so many when I was in my 20s. But I think I've discovered the pattern that I go through where I get inspired by them and then I don't do anything with it. I think because that's happened so often, I'm kind of over it. But I do sometimes still find good ones. And there are a few that I think are very good.
But even you, when you get tired, you look at a self-help book, you hear something you've heard before and you're going, oh, that's bullshit. Like, you don't even want to look at it. It doesn't mean it's bullshit. It means you're tired of the bullshit.
Yeah, but it's because, and that's not the book's fault. It's because it's because I'm tired of myself. It's not really the books, I feel like. It's because, yeah, there might be good information in the book, but then I know that I'm not going to do anything with it, really. Or, yeah, sometimes it is the books, as in, there's just so much that there's a lot of common sense stuff, and a lot of people doing the same thing as other people. So, yeah, you might get tired of that sometimes.
Yeah. I think the lazy self-help is like what Ahmed Ghost says, you're beautiful no matter what. You're amazing. You got this. That's one of my pet peeves. I hate that saying, you got this.
Yeah, okay, but see, now we are... Because that sounds to me more like woke stuff, like body positivity stuff, like the last decade. But self-help goes back much longer than that. So maybe that's why Karu made that comment also, I don't know. But, yeah. There are good books and bad books.
Yeah. The books that helped me the most, I wouldn't term as, they weren't titled as self-help. So, for instance, just before this stream, you grabbed a couple of books that you thought, the first thing to pop into your mind, the two books that helped you the most or that you always think of with soundbite kind of information. And I couldn't really think of many because I'm like a bird that goes around and picks things here and there, whatever works. But I remember, like, the thing that helped me the most was just sitting down with my own thoughts and journaling, right? I've always got one of these around and I take it with me and I write notes, I sketch, I just dump all my brain stuff on there in the moment. And then at the end of the day, I retain some, I put them in other books to keep forever and categorize them. But I just dump all my thoughts, and when I'm going through crappy times, I try and put on paper the herd of cats that are in my head and sort of my own notebook and journal has always been the best help, self-improvement for me, as well as conversations with people or with books and other authors. But in terms of a book, not many. This one really, if I had to pick one, this one really hit me in a good way at the right time. And that's the other thing. It's at the right time when a certain book will help you. It's not just that the book is going to help you no matter what. And this was one that helped me quite a bit, Ayn Rand's Virtue of Selfishness. Because for people like me and a lot of people out there who their upbringing is be a nice person, do and say what's proper, but keep your thoughts to yourself, and you end up being a really nice person that's a people pleaser. learning how to undo that, that book kind of helped me how to be a little bit more selfish, not in a negative way, but to stand up for my own thoughts. And there's nothing wrong with being an individual and things like that. Not always adhering to and agreeing with the group and getting along and things like that. So, but the normal self-help now, the popular stuff in bookstores, there's not much of it that really... I think that most of it is a good reminder for what you already know. I think 9 out of 10 of those books that are really nice, and I find myself, you see me, I buy them every now and then when the books are on special, not because they wowed me, it's because, yeah, this is a good reminder of what I should be doing more.
Yeah, you made me read that book also, but I am curious because to me that book is basically just saying it's okay to be selfish. That's basically what I got out of that book. Like, what about that book do you feel like helped you?
It before that, I always, without knowing it, felt good about doing things and getting approval from the world, family, women, basically feeling good that I did a good job or produced something or I'm a good person on the authority and approval of other people. Whereas the virtue of selfishness kind of pulled it back and made me look at what are my values, what do I really respect in a person. If I was to look at another person, if I was to look at a person that I could have a conversation with, that would be like, what do I respect as values in another person? And that book really helped me zone in on me respecting myself and my values and what are my ethics and principles and things like that. And I shouldn't just be... I haven't read it for a long time, so I'm trying to recall, so it's not fresh in my head, because I think that book really, I read it maybe 10 years ago. But yeah, it really had an effect on me where I could see myself as an individual much more. Because before I thought I knew who I was, but that book made me really focus my vision in terms of as an individual, not so much being selfish in a negative way, but developing self-esteem based on seeing myself clearly as a person, as an individual. You know?
Okay.
Because the book isn't about how to take advantage of people.
No. I like the book because because I'm kind of selfish, and I've always seen that as a bad thing. And that book was the first thing I've ever read in my life where it had a completely different take on selfishness. So I found it very interesting, actually.
Well, yeah, me as well. I didn't want to read the book because I thought, like, I don't want to be an arsehole. I don't want to walk all over people. I don't want to use people. And the book is completely not like that. It's about having an awareness of yourself, not selfishness, not self-esteem. It develops self-esteem, but it's there's a word that escapes me at the moment. There's a word about anyway, it's not coming to me, but it was a really nice, simple, clarifying way to see your own values and why, not just that it's okay to be you, but it's almost like being the book helped you see the healthy side of a sociopath without the abusing of other people. Like how it really helped me not care about people's opinion, like really not care. Because everyone says it. It's fashionable to say, yeah, you shouldn't care what other people think. Yeah, and everyone agrees and smiles, but no one really believes it. They still go out into the world and they're a doormat and they go through the same motions. But that book made me really not care and see how ridiculous it was that I seek the approval of others, and how not only I had every right to be selfish. That's it, to be self-interested. That's what that book showed me. That's the word I was looking for. To be very self-interested and put myself before every decision And every conversation, I could say my own words and be proud of them. It made me want to speak better, think clearly. So just to be much more self-interested than I was, because I was interested in finding answers. What do women want? What do my family want? What does society want? What's the right way to do things? Should I save money? Rather than what do I want? What am I interested in? Like really just being selfishly self-interested, that I have a right to make any decision I want first, as long as I'm polite to people around me and I treat them the way I would want to be treated myself. I'm number one in that way. So that book really, if I had to recommend one off the top of my head, and there are many, I look through a lot of books, but in terms of self-help books, that's the closest one in terms of a philosophy that helped me.
They're being very talkative in the chat. Should we go through the comments?
Sure. Remember, if you want to really, if you're here during the stream live and you want to get us to read a comment live during the stream, put 3 emojis like this example here, smiley faces before your comment, before, not after, and we'll do our best to see it. Like Karu did here, but he put 2, red play buttons, but you know the idea. Just put a couple of emojis before your question.
I feel like Karu threw me off a bit. He made me really want to defend self-help all of a sudden.
Boffin says, self-help books authored by women were mostly read by women. On average, 83% of readers were women. That's very precise, 83. Books authored by men have 50% male and female readers. Yeah, I think men, because we tend to not just talk about things, but how it can be practical, I think it's more applicable to everyone. But when you're just talking about star signs and the universe and everything, if it's just about feelings, then it makes sense why women...
If I was a feminist, I would destroy you right now. No, but I do agree with that. I think probably most really good self-help books are written by men. Yeah, because women are more emotional, so...
Look, I think in the last few years, self-help, especially online as well, has grown. And I feel like there's been a couple more female authors that I actually like their words and how they think. They're starting to think more practically now. But say a decade or more before, when it was, men against women and everyone was against each other competing, this was pre-bug. I think it was all just feelings and words designed to make you feel a certain way. Whereas now I think self-help, there's a lot more women that are starting to be more practical. I think now also because things between men and women in the world are more difficult, people are finding it harder to be together. And so women are forced to actually be serious about working out self-help. You can't just talk about it and then just land on the soft pillow of finding a man. You have to actually work out your problems. Everyone's I think everyone's more and more serious about trying to find their solutions. People are going to therapy a lot more, so I think everyone is trying to be...
I might be so mean about this, but when you said people reading self-help books like to find a man, I just roll my eyes.
I'm thinking more about the airy-fairy stuff, the Oprah-styled self-help.
It's not hard to find a man as a woman.
No. So we can say that more men are writing and more women are reading self-help books. This means the majority of women seeking advice end up getting books written by male authors. Seeking. So we can say...
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably
Is that
true.
following on from this, Boffin?
Yeah, I think so.
83% of readers were women. Okay, so even though... Yeah, okay, I get you now. Yeah. Here we go. Help by definition is external. Self-help is antithetical. Antithetical is a concept. You can't help yourself. You either do what you need or you don't. Someone can help you with an action.
What do you mean you can't help yourself?
Well, if you don't act, you're not really helping yourself.
Yeah, but if you're acting, then you're helping yourself.
Yeah, but he's talking about the action. Like the action is the actual help. Someone can help you with an action, but you actually have to help yourself. No one can help you but yourself.
Yeah,
So-
but you can help yourself with an action.
Yeah. Help by definition is external.
Karu, why are we like battling today? I feel like, you know, Tekken? Is that what you call it in English too? The fight game?
Yeah, Tekken.
Tekken, right? I feel like we're battling each other today. You know what's going on.
The question I have is, what is your motivation for self? Motivation. I'm not a big believer in. I know motivation exists, but I don't kind of fixate on it because you can't sustain motivation. It's an initial feeling that you just keep recycling and looping.
No, but what's he asking? What's your motivation to like read self-help books? Or because obviously the motivation is to help yourself with something, to do something about your behavior.
Yeah, this is true. But I will admit the last couple of years, I have run across certain quotes online and I thought, oh, that's really smart. And when I investigate more and more, I'm finding women are writing the quotes. And so there are more and more women writing better self-help than they used to, say, 10 years ago.
I really wouldn't know because I almost never read self-help books written by women.
But don't you come across quotes and stuff online and you think, oh, that's cool? Do you ever investigate where
No.
they came from? No.
I don't read quotes.
What do you mean? The internet's full of them. Don't you come across them every now and
I
then?
look at pictures of hot women. Like, why would I look at quotes? Because you come across quotes if you regularly look at quotes, and I never look at quotes. Like sometimes maybe randomly, sure, but I need to like lighten up a bit.
I know. What's wrong with you, babe?
I don't know. Karu threw me off.
You're cranky.
It's your fault, Karu.
It's everyone's fault except you. Take
Yeah.
some responsibility.
What is personal responsibility, mate?
Anyway. Yes, yeah.
I have a saying: "You are the problem, and you are the solution in one." Yeah, I see what you mean with that one. I love Tekken. Favorite fight. I used to play that when I was younger with my brother. It was really cool. Like, PS1.
The Dutch are
And I wore flowers, so I should be happy.
Well, let's look at this. I posted a stream. What's been your experience with the flood of books, 5-step programs, and inspirational quotes? And we've got a few of them. Let's zoom in. Luke says,
Oh, wait. I prefer looking at beautiful women than listening to their advice as well, Steph. Yeah, of course. And sometimes you come across really beautiful ones. Like the picture I showed you yesterday, remember? That was gorgeous.
yeah. Most of the time, what do you spend your time looking at? Hot chicks, fluffy cat videos.
Food, dashant videos.
Yeah, dog
and
videos.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Mostly I look at hot women and food. Those are like my top two that I always look at. Yeah.
Do parents underutilize self-help for children? Probably. Yeah, you just look at a lot of parents, the way they look and the way they act, especially to their kids and the examples they set. I don't think they help themselves much, but they think they can shape a kid. And they would say to us, well, what do you know?
No, but isn't he saying that parents are underutilizing teaching kids how to help themselves?
Yeah.
Right?
Do parents underutilize self-help? Yeah. So they don't seek self-help books or children's books, or they don't try to improve their children with self-help. But I would say if you're a parent, you're an adult that has helped yourself, whether it's with books, you've become a better person, you will you will give those lessons over to your kids anyway. If you don't know much and you're scrambling for self-help books for your kids, it's kind of like, well, what do you know? You should know a fair bit.
Yeah, but I was just thinking, aren't they a little young? Like, because the parents should be helping them and raising them.
Yeah.
Are they a bit too young to give them like a self-help book? Hey, here, figure it out.
Yeah. I would say that parents shouldn't need to get self-help books for their children. The parent is the self-help book for children.
I appreciate the 3 donuts, by the way, Armored Ghosts. I love donuts. And Karu says, I take full responsibility for making you angry. I didn't even need help with that.
Yeah.
I'm a woman. I mean, emotions, right?
All right.
No, but it's like, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to defend self-help a little bit.
Yeah, like the concept itself, books that inspire, help, and show you the correct way of doing things and thinking in a way that can break you from an unhealthy pattern, they're great. But I would say 9 out of 10 of us, we stop there and we think, wow, that made me feel good. Now I have the map. Now I can relax. Now I'll find the way. But you have to actually start implementing things to do it.
But that's not self-help's fault. That's people. Here, figure it out. Do this stuff. You got this.
I hate that term.
You got this?
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, yeah?
It's just see a lot of dumb chicks saying it. You got this. And then they feel like, yeah, it'll happen.
What do you feel about, how do you feel about Just Do It from Nike?
That's better. I like that. That work. It's just do it. You have to do it. Just do it. Okay, it's clear. It's simple. You got this is just, well, it'll happen. I'll make this work. How? I don't know. I'll just make it work. Things are great.
It's funny how people associate a sentence with a specific something, and then that's how they always hear. That's what they always think about.
This saying, you got this, right? Let's put the screen. You got this. It always sticks in my head because many, many years ago, I watched this basketball video of these 3 teenage boys playing basketball with 3 teenage girls. And they were both playing in their own respective league. So the girls played in their own teenage league. And the guys playing and you could just see so big of a difference in the how good each one was. The guys were beating the girls they were playing, so they were the same age, the guys and the girls, but the guys were more accurate in free throws, in 3-point shots, in everything. And the guys were beating them like 76-0 points in the game. And the girls, I remember, were losing. They just looked like toddlers. They looked stupid playing. But the girls were taunting the guys. They were acting like top shit, but the guys were beating them. And this one girl from the sidelines was, you got this, Jenny. And it's like, what do you mean you got this? It's 76-0. You're shit. And so whenever I hear you got this, it's just, let me just say something to make myself feel better. So...
This thing is like it's so loud. Your lemonade.
Now it's my lemonade. It's like our kid.
It's
when it's bad, it's mine.
What? This is your lemonade.
Actually, it is.
No, I'm just saying it's like super loud, like the
bubbles,
the fizz. Yeah.
Yeah, it is my lemonade.
I'm like, what's going on there? Tekken is the best. Yes. I haven't played that in years.
We should play it. So we have to get a PlayStation.
I want to play all the old school Mario games, Kirby. Do you guys know Kirby? I used to love Kirby. It's so much fun. He's cute.
Games I used to play a lot was Colin McRae Rally, Tomb Raider, and a lot of RPG games.
I used to play Mario,
and Tekken.
Mario, Kirby, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro on PlayStation. Kirby is awesome. Yay.
Yeah, Luke likes the same games you do.
Yeah.
My favorite games were the ones that felt like movies. Like I was in a movie, in a story.
Oh, I hate those.
In an adventure.
I don't like that. I like very simple games with something cute. I'm happy.
Yeah, but then you feel like kind of going through a story and you weren't rushed for time. You could explore.
It's too complicated and I don't want to think. I want to have fun.
Yeah, you don't have patience.
I want to jump on this and then I want to eat that and then I want to, I want to keep it simple. Spyro.
Oh, they redid it.
Yeah, Spyro is a little bit kind of like going through a world, but it was kind of simple. So yeah, I used to like that one.
Anyway, this question, self-help. What has actually helped you and what hasn't? Luke says, an equal amount of open-mindedness and as well as skepticism has been one of my greatest successes moving through this life. Courtesy and kindness cost virtually nothing, but not taking people's BS also helps. Respect is earned and loyalty is proven consistently over time. Yep. Rocket says, knowing that you are not alone helped me more than anything else. I've heard that as well, but I think that hasn't really resonated with me. Has that kind of helped you a lot? When you've realized, I'm not alone in this, and it really helped you?
Yeah, with the food stuff. Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, honestly, it's not because I thought I didn't know the answers, but knowing that other people are going through the same thing didn't really make me feel better. It helped me when other people gave me ideas that helped me clarify mine and find answers, but not that, I'm not alone. Like, I always trusted that my problem was real, but not that, like, I feel better because I'm not the only one.
I think it's really good to realize that you're not the only one and that this is something a lot of people struggle with, because it helps you to not beat yourself up over something and to be like, okay, this is like a common thing, so how can I get better at this? And the chances are bigger that there will be more advice out there on how to tackle it because more people are struggling with it.
That's actually a really good point. You mentioned about you stop beating yourself up. I never beat myself up. I don't have that negative voice like that most people do. Like, it's more common that you beat yourself up, you talk down to yourself, you tell yourself like you're an idiot, you like, why I did this again, you can't trust yourself. I don't have that voice. I don't know why. I've never had that voice. I've always had, like, I joke, like, come on, get off your ass. Like, yeah, you screwed up, like, try again, whatever. But I don't put myself down. So that's probably why I didn't get much out of knowing that I'm not the only one, because I didn't think I was an idiot. I was just confused and I wanted to find the correct answer or the right way. So I think that's the reason why that's never affected me that much, the knowing but that's very common. I hear that a lot. You you're not alone.
Okay.
You want to read Prince Revolver's?
Self-help can be great, but it's useless unless you're willing to implement it into your life, to which you see actual improvements. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you have to actually do it. A downside of self-help is that you can use it as a crutch and you're forever betting on tomorrow. Yeah, I think you mean like you just let it inspire you over and over, but you don't actually do something.
Yeah, you're always like relying on tomorrow. It's basically just dopamine. It's like you're always getting high on the anticipation. Like, one day it's going to happen. Yep. I bought the sneakers. I'm going to get in shape.
Right.
Just a matter of time. Armored Ghost says, depends on what you include in self-help. If you're a do-it-yourself type who wants material to learn something, self-help is fine. If you want to resolve a more personal issue, self-help might still be okay, but there's no substitute for...
I love this guy.
It comes back to action, though. Like, you hear it a lot today. Action. You have to take action. But it is the only thing. Because action inspires confidence. People go, oh, how am I supposed to be more confident? Well, try and do things, even if you fail. But then when you succeed, you have the evidence behind you. It's actually, you believe it. Oh, I did it yesterday. Therefore, I can do it again. So you have confidence. But trying to have confidence with nothing behind you doesn't work.
I've heard that too, about motivation, about consistency, that you need to act first and then those things will follow. Yeah, I've heard that about other things
action
as well.
Creates motivation. Action creates it. Like, people, you want to be motivated to do something, and sometimes you are motivated, but for tomorrow. because you don't have to do it now. That's when you're motivated. But if it's right now, you can do it now. You're usually not motivated to do it now. Motivation is for tomorrow.
I think the only thing that I do think about that is that sometimes it's really hard to start something without any motivation. So I think the perfect thing is probably to have motivation and then start doing things. And as you're doing things, you keep up your motivation, your consistency, and stuff like that.
Well, this segues probably into the book you wanted to show, where regardless of how you feel, if you set up a habit to turn up to, and you just turn up and even for 5 minutes do the thing, and you give yourself permission to stop once you've given it 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then you can not do it. But the thing is not to rely on motivation to begin something in that moment, because your motivation disappears when you actually have to do something, is to just do it. And then when you do it, motivation takes over. Like, you feel good once you do it. But it's very rare to feel good as you're doing it, like as you're beginning.
Yeah. Maybe we finish that and then we talk about the books.
Yeah. Peg says self-help, help yourself, useful. Useful is YouTube on how to fix or research topics of interest. Some books and manuals. Time in the Saddle helps on life experience and self, others, and the lessons within. Yeah, actually living life, doing the thing, experiencing the self-help. Mentoring or being mentored regarding skill development depends on the mirror. Mentor, mentee, mindset, and topic 2. Introspection, writing, and journaling. Yeah. What's not useful is some books, manuals, and YouTube channels, not yours. Conversing with or watching content of people who care not to evolve or at least consider it. Yeah, a lot of YouTube channels that have found a formula and they just keep recycling the same drum.
Can you put the screen back? You know what's kind of funny? I write, right? But I'm really not into journaling.
I know.
Yeah, that's weird, because you would think that I would be, but I just find it boring. I don't know. I find it boring to put stuff on paper that I'm like,
that's
just
interesting
thinking.
Because when I talk to you in very introspective ways in which I would journal on paper, in ways I'd have a conversation on paper I have with you. But you don't like doing those yourself on paper. No,
I love talking about stuff, about what is bothering me or whatever, but I just don't like journaling. I feel restless. I feel like it's a waste of time. I would rather talk to someone about it. And then often I also don't know what to write down.
But whenever you felt confused and you have to work out a problem and you've got like this herd of cats in your head and everything's a mess, don't you find writing it down kind of clarifies it?
Sometimes, but I'm more so talking about like daily journaling. I find that very boring.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about when things are like, when I really messed up with like food or weight loss or whatever, and I feel completely out of control and blah, blah. Like sometimes then I do write things down, and that does help just to get everything out on paper. But just like as a daily thing, I don't like it. No.
Motivation equals dopamine. Yeah,
well, it feels good.
As in, dopamine is an anticipatory neurotransmitter. So it's an anticipation drug that you feel. It's not actually the moment. It's like anticipating something good. So that's what I mean about correlating the two.
But, I think that sometimes motivation gets a bit too much shit. I mean, we should all be happy that there's such a thing as motivation. Imagine if there wasn't such a thing. We're already having trouble doing stuff. If that wasn't a thing, it would be even harder. So, you should be happy that there's such a thing.
Yeah, the disappointment so many people make is that they're motivated, but when it comes time to doing, they just don't. And then they feel really internally conflicted with, I wanted this yesterday. Why don't I want to do it now? Right?
Yeah, that's the problem that always follows. But I'm talking about, because people always say, oh, you shouldn't count on motivation, you should be disciplined, because motivation is fleeting. And that's true. But sometimes people shit on motivation a bit. And then I'm like, well, be happy that it's a thing.
Yeah,
You can use it when you have it.
without it, you probably wouldn't even do most things.
Yeah, things would be so much harder if we didn't have motivation.
Inspiration, motivation, drive, and all that. If you didn't have that kind of feeling, why would you even it would need to be really practical for you to do it. Almost like you need to get a guaranteed outcome, because a lot of stuff we're inspired by or motivated by, there's no guarantee it's going to work. But if you even take that away, like, no one would do anything.
Yeah, motivation can be a kickstart. Yeah.
Like we wouldn't have gotten together if we weren't motivated to keep talking and wanting to fly across the world to see each other. Like, there was motivation in doing it. And if there was none, it's like, what do
I feel like that's different, though. I feel like that's something you want.
Yeah, but it's still, you're motivated by a feeling, a drive, a desire, a vision or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like that's a want. Like, if I want to have pizza, that's something I want. But if I want to lose weight, that's like I'm motivated to lose weight.
It's almost like the base level Maslow stuff, like the very primitive stuff of human beings, where it's food, sex, shelter, and stuff. It's very easy to be motivated for them and to do them when you have to do them, when they're in front of you. Like, you're not, your nature doesn't procrastinate. Like, you go for them when they're there. But stuff that's more advanced, like writing books, stuff that's not got to do with survival as human beings, that's the stuff that you really need motivation to do, because it's not necessary.
Yeah, you don't need motivation to eat.
No.
Oh my God, let me psych myself up and make a step-by-step plan because I want to eat like in the next hour. Like, that's
you don't need to motivate me to eat the food I like eating. You don't need me to want the person I want. You don't need me to sleep when I feel sleepy or something. But other things like writing a book, going somewhere, it's kind of these abstract ideas that, like, yeah, they're particular, but like, I don't need to do them. They're not like survival based.
All right. I'm taking over the mouse.
Come on, boss babe.
I never got into self-help books. What are the most popular topics for these books? I think money is a very big one, like how to make money. That's a huge one. Weight loss is a huge one.
And a partner, getting a partner and being more attractive.
Yeah?
Getting more people. Like, because people are lonely for friends, lonely for a romantic partner. So self-help, being a better person, but it's always like, and also then you'll attract people as well.
I don't see those often, though.
It's a lot of underlying stuff underneath there. The more successful you are, like, the self-help makes you a successful person. Like, whatever your idea of success is, money, how you look. What's the point of looking good if you don't look good in the eyes of other people?
But I mean, I don't really see books specifically like, how do you get a partner?
No, because they're kind of almost embarrassing, right? But if you make yourself into this high-value male or female that's successful, money, cars, you look really hot, you're attractive, you're intelligent, you're well-spoken, all that stuff makes you attractive to other people as well. The consequence is that almost everything, if you look at it, if you take away other people, imagine everyone disappears from the planet, right? It's just you now. Everyone drops dead and it's just you. Would you be motivated to do all the self-help stuff? What would you do? Name me.
Eat Big Macs.
You would probably try and take care of your health so you don't deteriorate because you've got no doctors around or anything. Like, you'd want to be healthy. You'd probably read because you've got no one to talk to. So you would do those. You'd be motivated to read and take care of your body, physical and mental health, just so you don't go insane and you don't, end prematurely. But aside from anything else, everything else is to do with the validation of other people and sex and pat me on the back, tell me I'm a good person, tell me you like me.
Yeah, and I think also just to feel calmer and more in control of your life. Also, probably, like, to improve your life.
This is interesting. I have a bunch of cookbooks. Do they count as self-help?
No. How are cookbooks sell? Well, no, not in that. Like you're learning how to cook, but that's not self-help.
Food is a primitive instinct, right? So you are helping yourself. But also, if you want to eat healthy or a particular way.
Look, not directly. Like a cookbook isn't a self-help book, but you could say it is a form of self-help. If you're using the cookbook to eat healthier, to have a healthier lifestyle, then you can use it as self-help, I guess.
Do you then think of self-help as purely psychological to help your character then?
Sorry. Oh my God. Big Macs are self-help. They have to figure out a way, you guys, to make food that doesn't have calories. Why can't they figure that out? Why can't I eat Big Macs for the rest of my life? Every day, 100 Big Macs for the rest of my life.
Why can't women figure it out themselves?
I'm getting wrong.
That's the whole women is like, why can't the world just be this way?
Yeah, but like,
why can't they just invent? Why don't you invent it? Not me, someone else. You mean guys?
Yeah, but I don't shit on guys.
No, I know.
I am like, you guys invent stuff, you built the world, all that shit. Like, yes, please invent something that can make food without calories.
Yeah, but just think about if you invent foods without calories. Think about how worse women would get if every woman looked hotter.
Yeah, okay, their attitudes would get worse, I guess.
You think they'd improve? They'd be grateful and like, I'm going to be a wonderful person now. Or do you think they'll all be bitchier?
Yeah, but I don't care. I just care about me eating.
Of course. Again, a woman just cares about herself. But what do you think most women, like, it would just turn women worse?
Probably.
So it's probably they're actively not solving, because they probably could. I see a lot of healthy foods, no sugar, and they taste great. The food science is really good now. It's like, why can't they just make bread without calories?
They can make pretty awesome stuff though. Like some of the diet foods, like I eat FroPro pizzas. Don't know if you know that brand.
Why are we talking about food?
I don't know. Give me a few more seconds. Like FroPro pizzas, right? And these pizzas, they're pretty good, and they've got like 550 calories per pizza. And they're very filling because they're made of like chickpea protein, the base. I eat that often. And then also Kenny's ice cream. Like they've got ice cream, right? And the whole tub is like 300 calories. So
Kenny's and FroPro, hit us up if you want to sponsor this channel.
And I eat that. Like the FroPro pizzas, I have like 3 or 4 a week. They're delicious. Okay, they're like a 7, out of 10, which is really good.
They're a B.
So, no, a 7. So I'm like dieting on pizza, like it's awesome. Everything is self-help. If you fart, you're relieving pressure, so you're helping yourself to be more comfortable. Oh, come on, Karu! I would throw something at your head if you were here.
He's being facetious, as you said this morning.
Yeah. I'm hot. Why am I always hot on camera now?
Cucumbers have calories. Not many.
No, that's like, basically, that's like 99% water or something.
Yeah, they have more water than watermelon. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cucumbers have more water than watermelon. I was surprised at that.
Oh, I don't have a food blog, but we started our... Do you want to say that?
No, not yet.
Can I say it? Or
if you want.
Yeah?
Yeah, but it's not ready yet. Don't say it yet. No, don't say it yet. No.
Oh, okay.
But you haven't started a food blog, but she's working on...
No, not a food blog, but...
a website.
A website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll share it soon then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can't share it yet. Shh. Cognac noodles, those are gross. I tried those once. What? They're like snot. They're like those really see-through noodles. They have like almost 0 calories, but they're gross.
Oh, they look almost like plastic.
But it's like snot. Like I made it once. It's like, oh, so gross. So yeah, they're great in calories, but they're disgusting. Needs a mukbang channel. If you're up for it, babe, I would totally do that. We'd be
that would screw
Big
up
Macs.
your diet. Then I'd need to deal with your personality because you're always like binging on a mukbang. But we're gonna do the channel, babe. Are we doing a stream today?
We should do. We've never done like a vlog yet. We should do that one time, and then maybe we can
What do you mean?
go in at McDonald's.
We've never done a
like
as
a
a
vlog,
normal
as
video.
a video. Yeah, maybe we should do that one time when we can like eat a bunch of food, and then we can
Why do you
go to
wanna-
McDonald's. Because food is life. What do you mean?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Food is life.
It is.
All right. What else have we got to say about this topic? Okay.
You can scroll down, babe. There are more comments.
Are there?
Oh, you already had them.
Yeah. All right. So I think we can all agree that self-help does help, but as the map to actually walking the path. But everyone's just building maps through conversation and motivation and stuff. Like everyone's creating beautiful maps and getting inspired by these maps of what they should do and what they can do and what's possible and what will happen tomorrow. But unless you actually do the thing, it doesn't matter. So self-help books and things, they are useful, but I think they've gotten a bit of but a lot of a bad name. Just because they're a disappointment to everyone because they don't use them. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the world just manufactures shoes and no one wants to wear them. So
I'm just still thinking, can I like share my thing like next time then?
well, if you want, but then it's got your name, your full name. And if you want.
Is it about because your thing isn't like finished yet, or?
Yeah, mine's not finished either.
Oh, I can wait though.
And
I
then
can tell
also,
it next
it'd be
time.
nice if you kind of prepare it. We can kind of link to it, and if you want.
Okay, we
whatever.
can do it next time then.
Because
Yeah.
again, you're being impatient. Are you 100% happy with it now? The links to your book, have you linked them to thing? Is it all?
Yeah, not completely.
That's what I
And
mean.
yeah,
Like,
okay.
you're kind of. I know you're excited.
Yeah. So next time. Yeah, so basically we started websites for our artist stuff. So cuz I write, so he made a website for me. I've got my books on there and I'm going to do blogs. I'm going to like blog and stuff. But it's like not completely finished, so probably next time we'll share. Yeah. Has Steph asked an AI to come up with video topics? No, but we do that sometimes. Sure.
I think we've both used AI. I've come up with an idea, and I know I have an idea and talking points, and I just copy and paste, and I ask it to either, because the way I write is the way I talk. I just kind of just let everything out, and sometimes I find it hard to organize my thoughts. And I get AI to be like an editor, just like pare down my thoughts to its basic parts, or give me alternatives. I might have one or two headings that I think are good, and then I'll say, give me alternatives to this heading that I think is really good, and it'll give me some options, and it'll help me
Yeah.
brainstorm a bit more.
Yeah, I love AI. It's like magic. I use it for school also. I use it when I learn Serbian. It's like really good.
All right. What else? Is that it?
Oh, we should share the books.
Yeah.
These are two books that I love. Atomic Habits and The One Thing. Atomic Habits is like so popular.
Yeah, I think it was,
So
it
I
was a
think
bit of a
that's one
reflection.
that I always kind of go back to. That's a really good one.
Yeah. And
And The One Thing is basically about, like focusing on, for example, if you want to like lose weight or something, it wants you to like ask yourself, okay, what's the one thing that like if you do this, then everything else is not necessary anymore or it's less important, right? Like, and then you have to really like double down on that one thing. Yeah, it's just a good book. I like it.
Well, that's what I mean about most self-help is useful because it reminds you the simplicity of what you already know. A concept that's, you don't need like a million things to answer your problem. It's usually pared down to a simple concept that clarifies how you should approach something.
Yeah, I think it's because people get overwhelmed and they're like, okay, I want to do this thing. That means I have to do this and this and this and this, and they've got like a whole list and it overwhelms them. So like this book is basically talking about, yeah, okay, but you might not do all those things. So to be more, to not waste time, what's the one thing that if you do this, it's going to make like the biggest impact, you know? And so it's really good for your focus also.
Ahmed Ghost says, is that paper? What do you mean? Is that
paper books, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, he has a lot of books.
Yeah, I really find the same reason I like actual books is because, you know, I grew up with books. I grew up before the internet. But also that when I write things down on paper, I retain things. I remember things 10 times more. I don't retain very much when I just read it online or type it online. And similarly, when I read online or I'm looking at my ebook reader and I'm reading a book and taking notes, it doesn't sink in. I don't remember it enough. And if I don't remember it, I can't use it as quickly in life. But when I remember it, then I've got a better chance of actually using it.
Yeah, I don't like reading off a screen. I like reading a book.
But you spend more time on a screen writing and reading than...
Yeah, because I write and because I edit.
That's interesting. You don't like writing on paper. You like typing on screen. But you prefer reading a book than reading on screen.
Yeah.
I prefer reading a book. Yeah, as well. But I can read on screen too. But yeah, I always lean towards paper.
Yeah, but it depends on what you do. Look, if I would like to journal, and whenever I do journal, I don't really mind writing on paper. Like journaling is more for paper. But if you're writing a book, you can't do that on paper because when you get to the editing phase and you want to make changes and stuff, that's like a nightmare. So yeah.
I think brainstorming is easy on paper. So whether you're brainstorming in the form of journaling, I notice when we're trying to work out an idea, we get the notepad out and we actually write down things. Like we put columns and like two pros and cons. We're always doing it on paper in a paper fashion.
Yeah, I do feel like you like that more.
But brainstorming, do you think you can brainstorm better on paper, like using your hand?
No.
Or do you brainstorm better on
a laptop? I love laptops. Yeah. I'm not a fan of writing by hand.
Yeah, I can. No. I find brainstorming and conceptualizing very, very hard, if not impossible, on screen. I have to form the idea on paper.
I feel like writing on paper for me, it makes me feel out of control, because if it makes me feel pressured, because if I can't make a mistake now because it's on paper, whereas if it's on the laptop, I have the freedom, I'm in control, I can erase, I can change. When it's writing on paper, it's like you can't make mistakes, or you have to like start over.
See, I think that's what plays into the anxiety of like the younger generation that grow up on screens. You grew up on screens more than I did, right? And so the bridge between idea and action, like, you know that you've got no pressure. You can try something and go back and delete and try and try again. I come up from a generation where I have to make sure if I draw a line on paper, that's the paper. I have to throw the paper away. There's like action in making something permanent on the page. But you always have undos. And so I think the generation now, they're used to screens. That's why they can never get motivated, because they feel like they can undo everything. They've always got another chance to redo everything. But when you didn't have a screen, you have to really think and commit to the paper and write something and do something.
Yeah, now I think you're kind of maybe conflating two things that are separate.
Conceptually speaking, I mean, I know, like the practical aspect of actually doing something in real life on paper compared to doing something in virtual space with a screen where you have a million undos, you can copy. There's a comfort to never acting, because you can recycle and re-edit. If it's real, you can't. You have to start.
Yeah, I don't get where you're going with this now. Because to me, they're just two different mediums. And now that we have the laptops and computers, that's just an improvement. Because now you can actually edit, change it. You don't have to grab a new piece of paper.
Sure.
I just see it as an improvement.
But your mindset becomes easier, less committal, because you can just kind of keep changing it on the screen. It's never like, I did it, that's it, responsible. You don't have to be responsible because you can edit it. You write a word on a page, on a screen.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Yeah, but conceptually, I'm thinking how it conditions your brain. When I wrote something on paper, it was on that page. If I had to do it, if I had to write it or draw it again, I have to screw it up and do it again on a different piece of paper. I had to take care and attention, and it was permanent. I made a choice, and I acted. I did it on the world, on paper. But here, you're always doing it in virtual space, and there's always an undo, and you're never committing to anything because you can always redo what you typed yesterday. You know, I'm just saying, thinking about maybe my brain is more conditioned or more comfortable with acting than the brains of people who are conditioned by infinite redos and always staying at the starting line and always beginning.
I feel like you're conflating two things that shouldn't be.
I'm not saying they're equal. I'm thinking about how that actually changes the brain of a person who's trying to be motivated and help themselves. You know, I've got much more of a tactile sense of self-help because I'm less connected to the screen in terms of self-help than maybe you are, or people who are even younger than you, who are always on screen and they can completely ignore yesterday. They can redo something they wrote. It's continually.
Yeah, but you're saying all these things as though they're bad. It's just a different medium. That's easier, simpler, it's improved.
Yeah.
And you can choose to write or you can choose to be on your laptop. But I don't get why you're saying that somehow...
I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying that how it maybe conditions one brain over time compared to another. Because you've noticed that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't stress me out, that stresses you out. And the struggles and whatever.
Yeah, but that's not because I work on the laptop.
No, but I'm just thinking like all these things, you know, I really find comfort in working things out by writing things down on paper, and you do the same thing on screen. Does that play into the those aspects of your brain where you find it harder to help yourself maybe, or feel calmer about things?
I'm sorry, babe. I really don't get it.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just...
I don't get what you're...
Just made me think about that. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Ahmed goes, self-help equals AI.
Self-help is AI.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. Is that Dale Carnegie who wrote that? I'm not sure. All right. Anything else you want to say on self-help, babe? Or did I derail this?
No. What else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, I basically think self-help really comes down to how much you want something and how committed you are to something. And then you just need to do it. But that's really it. You just need to do it.
All right. I think I've said everything I want to say on self-help.
Yeah, already.
Yeah, it's such a broad topic. And I think the only way self-help is a discussion if you need help or if you've got areas in your life you need help in. It's up to you to find the medicine in the books or conversations or the videos that will possibly help you. And then when you're having conversations or you're reading books that really speak to you, is to do the things they're asking. If all the book does, if all the video does is just make you feel good by words and ideas and you don't actually have to do anything, I would say those books aren't really going to help you very much, aside from just making you believe things.
Can you think of like one self-help thing that's helped you a lot?
Yeah. Letting go of trying to control everything, trying to be right.
Those are two different things, though, right?
Well, knowing that, yeah, I'm not always right objectively. all the time, and I don't have to control everything. I actually found that because I was much more like you, very intellectual, everything had to have an objective answer, and that was going to be the decision I would make. Like whatever the best truth is for everyone, including myself, I'm going to make that decision. But then I found that something that's right for one person is not right for another person, and they're often completely different. And so I just kind of let go of trying to control things too much, and I started to get more control in my life. So yeah, letting go of control was one thing that helped me a lot. Because I used to get frustrated that I did everything exactly the way it should be done and it didn't work out the way it should work out, and I was pissed off. And then I tried to rework the formula and like, why didn't it? You know, it should have worked. No one can tell. Like I went about things the right way, and everyone said, yeah, it shouldn't work, but you just try again.
Oh, you're talking about external things then.
Yeah. I'm pretty good internal control. A few things bug me irrationally, like paying bills and things like that, stupid, but I know they're like small. They're not really going to affect me. I'm not going to lay awake at night. But big things that affect me in my life is always external, and I've tried to always control a lot of external stuff. And then when I just accepted like that I can't, and even mentally within myself, like, why am I trying to perfect something? Just do it. Like planning a book and always researching and getting everything perfect before I begin. The answer is just begin. Like I'm always trying to perfect and control. Just do the thing. You know, back to the basic concept of self-help. So, yeah, stop trying to control, perfect, and just do the thing. And the less you try and control, the more control you have.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because I'm a bit of a control freak. Yeah, I think I've really noticed that how committed you are to something is a huge thing. And then also just planning things in and scheduling things in can really help. And having routines.
But how do you deal with, it's very important for you, you're motivated, you have a plan, all these things, and then when it comes time to do it, you just don't feel like it.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. But it depends on how stable everything already is.
See, that was the point for me. Everything I plan, motivation, like all these things you're talking about, great. And then when it comes time to do it, then I've got this big wall saying no. That's the time I go, well, stop fighting. Let go of the control. It's no big deal. That's that point that I figured out, like, don't hold on too tight.
But I feel like when that happens to me, then I'm probably not stable. Because if everything is going well and I'm doing all my things, I'm usually not going to feel like doing one of those things. And then if I do, it's usually pretty easy to like tell myself to go do it anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we do need to also say everyone wants black and white solutions that work for everyone, but we all know that everyone's motivated differently. For instance, when I feel like shit about something, like I ate too much or I just I've let something go for too long, I just get up and I do it almost to punish myself. You see me, like, we eat too much and I'll go out right afterwards. I'm bloated and I'll go on a run at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, which is really bad.
Worst possible time. And I will do it to push the pendulum back because I'm playing this kind of game with myself. Like, yeah, okay, let's balance the equation. Like I don't want to feel bad about myself, so that's the way I do things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I think that habits and routines are really good. Like, I really noticed that if I'm always planning, right? So every morning, like, I do my writing, I study a little bit of Serbian, and then like now twice a week I'm going to the gym. And I just always notice, like, if I'm doing all of those things like most of the time steadily, you know, like consistently, then it's going to be easier for me to push myself to do it once I don't want to do something. You know, like if I don't really feel like going to the gym, but I'm like, I'm doing really good with everything, and then I want to go anyway. You know, so I do feel like the more in control you are, the smaller the chances that you're going to mess up. Whereas if things aren't going well and I don't feel in control, and then I feel like binging out, for example, then that's way easier to do than if I do feel in control and everything is going well. So for me, control is a very big thing, yeah.
Karu says, I agree. Always having the ability to edit, modify your work makes it seem less important and not having enough gravity. Okay.
Yeah, I don't get what you guys are
you responding to something
about.
Someone else said or something one of us said?
No, the whole thing we said about writing versus laptop.
Makes it seem less important.
No, but maybe I'm completely not understanding you guys correctly because because we were talking about writing. So I take this as though because I'm writing on a laptop, it's less good or less valuable than if I were writing on paper. And like every time I mess up, I have to grab a new piece of paper. But at least then I'm being authentic and it's like valued and it's real. Like that's why I don't get the whole thing.
No, I think the way you do things, because you write a lot. You've written a few novels. Like you're really good. I was just talking about. I wonder how the brain of commitment is affected by always having an undo, and you can always go back. You know, whereas you grow up where you can't go back in time. You write something on a piece of paper, it's there, and you can't take it back. You have to screw it up and start a brand new piece of paper.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That's just like in one scenario, you grab a new piece of paper, and the other one, you hit delete.
I know conceptual, but I'm just saying I wonder how that affects the brain in terms of motivation and taking responsibility and moving forward. Because like when you had paper, there was no undo. But now things are easier. And I'm not saying that you obviously write a lot and you've written books and stuff, and it's great. But I'm thinking how the generation that just grows up with this speed and undo and undo and undo, they can never get off the starting blocks and actually do anything or be motivated or fix their problems because they've got a million undos.
Yeah, but if they would have to write everything instead, it would just take much longer. That would be the only difference. Like this is just a technology thing.
Yeah. I was just curious about how it shapes a person's perception and will. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not understanding what you mean, babe. But what he says, for example, like modify your work, the ability to edit or modify your works makes it seem less important and not having enough gravity. See, I take that as though because I'm editing my books on my laptop, it's less important than if I would write it down. Like, how else am I supposed to take that comment?
It depends on the person, though. Like, you're very invested. When you write, you're writing the permanent thing and you're really making sure. A lot of people, because they spend their time online is just playing. When they type things, they're playing. Oh, undo, redo, whatever. I wrote something, I wrote a blog. It's not really permanent. You're very intentional about things. So people are different. Just because you write on screen, your personality compared with another personality that writes on screen can be two different people. Self-help can be a business. Again, my only point was, it wasn't that writing on screen is worse than writing on paper. I wonder how it affects the brain of someone who can always write, redo, edit, delete, like completely always just stop time and go back in time on screen, how that affects someone who's trying to be motivated forward in their life, in real life. You know, I wonder how it plays on their brain. Not that writing on screen or writing on paper is necessarily better or worse in terms of writing a book. Finishing a book, that's one thing, but how does the act of feeling more comfortable on paper or feeling more comfortable on a screen where you've got a million redos and you can always keep perfecting and going back in time, how does that shape the mind of the person that finds it hard to be motivated in life? That's what I was
but the
thinking.
thing I don't understand is that if you're working on paper, you also do the same thing. The only difference is you either cross it out or you use T-Pex or you grab a new
It's
piece of paper.
It's messy. You sit still and you consider more what you're going to write, but you can go a million miles an hour on screen because you can just go back, copy, paste, edit, delete. But on paper, like you write something and it's like, to screw it up, you have to begin again, and you don't want to waste time. You don't waste time on screen. You can just Control A, delete, copy, backspace, delete. You're always at the starting block. It's such a freeing, relaxed, easy way of doing things, which is great. I'm just saying how it affects the mind of a person that's more considered, like on a piece of paper. When people used to type on paper, imagine having to use a typewriter instead of a laptop, where every
Maybe
word.
I think I'm just taking this wrong. I think I'm taking it personally or something. To me, it sounds a little degrading or something, but you probably mean something else.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how the mind might be shaped, not necessarily whether one's better than the other in writing a book. What do boomers think of self-help?
What are boomers again?
I think I'm Gen X. I think boomers are one generation before me, like our parents. So they probably don't think much of self-help. They're just like, yeah, just do it. What's all this talk? It's all self-evident. Why do you need to talk it to death? Like, just do the thing. And now I think the generation now who are born in the 2000s, they would be like, a lot of talk and action is very distant. It's very hard to get to action. Whereas our parents, action was first, and there's only a little bit of talk needed just to communicate. But like, the world is action. Whereas now the world is concept and talking and blogs and podcasts and, you know, I would think. Okay. All right. Any more comments? Melee, I use pencil. Yeah, so do I. It's my favorite. Pencil on paper. You're still thinking, aren't you? It's bugging you. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel the energy.
I don't know. I find it, I don't know. I think I'm just not understanding where you're coming from. To me, I just feel like a little offended or something.
I've noticed that when I get very conceptual, very kind of...
Yeah, but I think it's because we were talking about writing first. So I'm obviously taking this as a writer. And I write on the laptop. So that's where I'm looking at this. I think it would be different if you were just objectively talking about the difference between writing and writing on the laptop. Because I do know that if you write by hand, like you remember things better, or it makes more of an impact because it takes a bit longer and you have to think about it more. Like that kind of stuff I get. So maybe you're talking about that. But I was looking at it from a writer's point of view, where it kind of came across like it's better to, like if you write on the laptop, it means less or something. That's kind of how it was coming across, I think.
No, but that's why I kept saying to you that it's not about which is better to write. I was saying, I wonder how the brain of someone who is always writing on a laptop compares to like one of our grandparents who wrote on a typewriter, where every key stroke is permanent on paper. And if they don't like the page, they have to rip it out of the typewriter and screw it up and throw it away. Like the tactile experience of writing your thoughts on something real, whether by hand or with the typewriter, how that brain, in terms of commitment and being more patient and doing things and knowing every word they're going to write down on paper, how it differs from the person that just free flows and edits and deletes and, you know, how that shapes the person. That person, those two different people, your grandparents and someone now who writes on a laptop, they've both got the same problem of motivation. I would think that the person who writes on the laptop would be able to fix their motivation and be able to help themselves more than this person, maybe. I don't know.
The person who writes on the laptop?
Yeah. because you're always like on easy mode. It's not that writing's better or worse on one, how the brain is shaped, where every word you have to write has a big gravity to it, like there's a permanency, like it matters. But with a laptop, it doesn't really matter. You can just be free and just write and let it all just, and you can always just easily edit and go back and copy and paste and whatever. But if you do the same thing on a typewriter, if I did the same speed and stream of consciousness on a typewriter, I'll be like, yeah, I'll just write my novel, and at the end I'll edit it all. All those pages, I'd have to go in with a marker, retype, it would be a long process. It would just like overwhelm, you know? But on a laptop, it's very easy. I'm just thinking how that mind forms and then how that mind is affected by self-help and motivation. You know, it's probably harder for the person that is kind of more on easy mode in, you know, how they motivate their thoughts out on screen compared to the person that motivates their thoughts on paper with keystrokes.
Well, they probably have to think more because they don't want to make a mistake. But that's just a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
Because if you're working on the laptop, you can relax a bit more because you can delete it.
It's not as easy on a typewriter. You have to be more patient, and there's more pressure that every word and every line has got to matter. Otherwise, you've got to rip that paper out and throw it away and start again. That's what I mean. Like that brain, like how it, you know. I think about like, you know, Russia now, old Russian, very old Soviet Union way of thinking. I pretty much think they don't need much self-help. They don't have a lot of luxuries. So that brain isn't as fragile, doesn't need a lot of self-help. Why? How is it being conditioned?
Yeah, see, but now you're bringing in self-help. But I don't think that has to do with writing or typing per se. That's just because that's a different generation.
Yeah, but I'm thinking how does self-help, if say someone who's old school Russian who types on a typewriter, if they've got a problem, they just do it and fix it. Someone today that's online scrolling and always writing and putting their thoughts and having relationships on screen and writing on screen and stuff, they need a lot more help with self-help. You know, they don't just do it. So I would say old school ways of doing anything, writing or anything in life, now the modern ways make the basic self-help harder for people today compared to someone who doesn't have the modernity of screens and laptops and stuff. I think that's it. All right.
Stephanie's a Big Mac meal.
I do lots of notes on paper. Yeah, I just think conceptually. I was just, I didn't mean anything literally. I just meant the brain of like an old Soviet style person, typewriters and paper, and they would just do what needs to be done. They don't need a lot of motivation and self-help. It's very self-evident. And then someone today that has everything easier, writing's easier, the internet's easier, you have everything at your fingertips, but psychologically, everyone finds it harder. They're stressful, they've got anxiety, they go to therapy. So I just find that an interesting dynamic between the two. I started using a typewriter and always hated it. I'm an iterative thinker and I fell in love with the word processors when they came out. Yeah.
What's that, word processors?
Yeah, just computers.
Why are you saying word processors?
Because between typewriters and laptops, there were like they had they were typewriters with screens. They were so essentially between computers and typewriters, there were these actual typewriters, but they had a screen, no ink.
Okay.
And then you could put a disc in and save your thing and go back. So that was a step forward. Yep, they have vodka. All right, I think we're done. We're going off the cliff, I feel like.
We're going off the cliff?
Yep.
What do you mean?
I don't know. We're kind of veering off, and we're getting a bit too all over the place.
Yeah.
And I want to enjoy the rest of the day. Anything else?
Well, we don't have rapid fire because I didn't look for more. We do have them about artists. You want to do a few of those?
Yeah.
No?
Do you? Where do you have them?
In Notion.
Where is it?
In the artist one.
Where?
There.
There?
At the bottom.
Whoa.
Yeah, there.
Okay, let's do. All right.
Because someone needs to stop being... You were actually
to let
grumpy
go.
before.
Yeah,
And
but
now
I'm
grumpy.
grumpy in a playful way that doesn't matter. Like, it's kind of a joke. I'm like Bill Burr grumpy. Like, it doesn't really affect me. I just like bitching about stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Because on my channel, I think people take me like I'm like, oh, humans are a bit annoyed. There's a problem. It's like, no, I'm ranting. Like the way Karu and I talk, we just bitch about stuff. You know, I get pissed off at people when I'm driving on the road, but you know, I'm letting off steam. But I don't really have a problem in my life. So I was grumpy.
Yeah, you're very chill. I hate having emotions. It's really annoying. I wish we didn't have this many emotions. Because, like, we can, like, talk about something, and then I hear something, and I'm like, like, I don't agree with or something. And then, like, I have to get into it, and it's annoying.
Yeah. Well, I told you it would be good. I'd be happy if you wanted to just download your emotions when you're in an emotional state to me, because I would just kind of walk away from them easily. I can manage my emotions pretty well. Or I can joke with them. I can turn them into a joke rather than take them seriously.
Yeah.
But you can't. You really grab onto them and you take them seriously, and you have to fix it and you have to work it out. You can't let go.
Yeah, but it's also hard because I don't recognize it right away, only later. But I wish I could recognize it when it's just starting to happen, and then I can just go, okay, I don't give a fuck. Let me just laugh and listen and like nod or whatever, you know? And not like take it seriously.
But that's like all of us. We feel what we feel in the moment and we can't let it go. And then later on, when the feeling's gone, it's like, why was I thinking that? Why was I feeling that way?
Yeah, we love Bill Burr. He's our number one. Is he your number one comedian?
Probably.
Yeah, he is mine for sure.
Get on VC after, we can clarify the problem.
Oh God, Karu.
Stephanie's very literal.
Yeah, I am. But I get so annoyed sometimes when I'm being literal, and then literal, I'm saying it like you, literal. And then people and
Urine.
yeah. No, but it's annoying because sometimes I feel like I'm being literal, but then like how else am I supposed to say it? Because then they mean it in a different way. And then I'm taking it literal and I'm like, yeah, but you said this, like, do you not mean this?
But that's why you find it hard to get jokes sometimes. Because jokes rely on the implication or the...
Should I buy that book, Boffin? Yeah.
How to Not Be a Woman.
Well, you just say you identify as a man, right?
Yeah.
Then you're not a woman anymore.
Yeah, even though women have more power in the world today, I would still not want to come back. If I was going to be born again, they go, you can come back as a woman or a man. You know, women rule the world. They get all the advantages. They get all the concessions. They get all the preferential treatment. They get men beg, at their feet and stuff. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to go through your emotions, your monthly cycles, your peer group pressure, other women backstabbing me, the psychological game playing.
Well, if I could come back as a man, that's the number one thing I would be grateful for, is not having so many emotions, especially having a more stable mood, being calmer. I would love all those things.
Yeah. Men get affected by emotions, but generally, on average, men have one mood all the time. whatever your personality, whatever your temperament, it's generally your one mode all the time. You kind of fire off like on a topic or you get pissed off or whatever, but you return to your stable mood. But with women, it's kind of like the psychological terrain of, no, thank you. I wouldn't have a good life. Give me all the power you want in the world as a woman, but my world inside my head is like hell. I don't care what power I have in the world outside of me. The power I have in my head, I don't have any control. I don't have any power. So as a guy, I've got much more internal control, even though I don't have a lot of external control. Like women control the outside world much more than guys do today. Fine, but I would much rather have more control internally. Women have far little control internally, but they give them all this control outside in the world. What's the point? If you in your own head you go through hell. Anyway, I think we're done. I know.
No.
Go. As artists, pen or pencil? Well,
pen.
Pencil.
I guess.
Pencil.
Because I don't draw.
Yeah, but if you write, pen or pencil? Pen as well.
Pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning or night creative sessions?
Morning, for sure.
For me, it's night, but I'm trying to get up and do morning because I do better quality work and I'm more consistent. Because at the end of the day, sometimes I'm too tired. Sometimes I have little spurts, but the clarity is less at night. But I do produce more work at night, but only because I've been in that cycle. So I want to be more morning.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like the typical early bird. I am like super productive in the morning. And then as the day goes on, it just lessens and lessens. And in the evening, although sometimes I do like working in the evening, but then it's like extra.
Yeah, I want to get more to your circadian rhythm. Mine is kind of screwed up.
Buffer says crayon.
Dialogue or description?
Dialogue.
In terms of writing.
Dialogue. I love writing dialogue. I'm not a big fan of description.
I lean more towards dialogue as well. Description probably gets you the structure of the story. When you kind of just bullet point the scenes and the structure of the book, like this happens, they're there, they're here. But within it, the story is really the dialogue between people.
Yeah, what I think of when I hear description, I think more of like describing things, like extra. That's what I think of.
Oh, when you're doing pure prose, just all writing, when you're writing a book, yeah.
No, I mean dialogue, like when people talk, and then description, at least that's how I see it, is when you describe things, which of course is necessary in a story, but I always keep that kind of brief. But I love dialogue a lot more.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Black ink or colored ink? Black. Always. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I guess I would say black also.
Both in writing and drawing, yeah.
Yeah, also on the laptop. Just black. Because I've heard that sometimes it can help to write like in different colors. But I tried it, but I don't like it.
Number 5. See, this is where I was confusing number 3. Sorry. Plot first or character first?
Yeah, with me, this it can be both. It depends on the story. Because sometimes I'll think of a really good storyline, but I haven't developed my characters yet. But other times I have like a character in mind that I really want to write about. For example, like a psychopath, for example, right? But then I don't have the storyline yet. So with me, it really depends on the book. So both can be true for me.
Yeah, it depends on what starts the fire of the idea of the story. Because sometimes it's you hear someone or you imagine someone saying a line, a really cool line, like, ooh, what's that person like? And then the story develops from that line or that character, what they would say. But sometimes it's like, I imagine the person did this, this, and this. So then the plot comes first. So it depends on what ignites you into the story first. Sometimes it's a situation. Imagine a person did this, this, and this, and then they betrayed them, and then you start thinking about what they would say and do. But then sometimes I just hear a person say something. It's like, whoa, that's dark, or that's interesting, or that's really smart. What would that person be like? And then you start wrapping a story and around it.
Yeah.
So it depends on what first ignites you.
Or sometimes you just have like a topic in mind. Like one of the books I'm wrapping up now is like about, there's like a witch as a character in the book. And with that one, I was just like, oh, I want to write a book about a witch, like a witch story. And then you only have that idea, and then you start like building everything else around it. So yeah, it can start with different things, like a plot character, a vague idea. Yeah.
All right. We're done.
Yeah, we have been going for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yes.
Wow, it doesn't feel like that long.
See? Got to pay attention. All right. Thanks for showing up, everyone. Hope that was as fun for you.
Yeah, I wish I could go eat a Big Mac, but I can't.
Neither do I. I've been eating quite well. I think I haven't eaten McDonald's
We haven't eaten McDonald's.
since last year.
Yeah, since before Spain.
I think it was like even November or something. Yeah, so it's been nearly 6 months.
Damn, that's crazy.
I don't actually even have the craving. I could have a really nice burger, but not McDonald's. Like, I could have a big, juicy, healthier burger.
We should go to Sneets
Or grilled or something.
again. Or, yeah.
Yeah, but McDonald's, I don't know. It's not grabbing me like it used to. Yep. All right. I've noticed that even really sweet things are too sweet for me now. And really stuff that used to be fun and unhealthy is just like, gross now. Like, I'm going to feel sick. I don't even want it anymore.
Yeah, I don't find it gross, but I have noticed when I had that pink donut at your parents' house, that was like really sweet, but like deliciously sweet. But like sweeter than it would normally be, I feel like, because we haven't been snacking a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a big sweet tooth. All right. I think we're done. Yeah, let's go.
What are you going to do for the rest of the day, babe?
Well, there's one or two things I want to do. We can discuss that after this. But I don't think we need to go to the supermarket for anything.
No.
I might go for another walk.
Yeah.
But we got we've got to finish the other 3 episodes of that series we're watching yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
But we can do that during dinner. Anyway, we're just talking out loud. We'll let you go. Enjoy your weekend. And I may see some of you on my other channel for tomorrow, a stream. I'm not sure. I may do another stream tomorrow on my other channel. But anyway, we'll catch you another time. Thanks for showing up. Hope you had fun. Leave your comments down below. And any suggestions you would want to get our perspective on as a couple, life, relationships, our points of view, personal sort of habits and accomplishing stuff, like how we go about day to day, the challenges we both have individually, trying to get our own things done, but also as a couple. So any kind of ideas or thoughts or questions you might have, we might even post a comment in the community tab and get some feedback, what topics people might have. But anyway.
We've asked that a few times, haven't we?
Yeah, but it's nice. Sometimes you don't always get a person at one time read it and was like, yeah, I got nothing. But then they have something happen in their lives. They have a conversation with a family member or some like problem or an issue at work. And there's like, how do you deal with this? Or they just go on a date with someone. Then they have the problem. So anyway, I think we're done.
Yeah.
You had enough?
No, but I know that
Yeah,
you have to go.
I'm done. All right. Have a nice day, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.